We are back with more VTubers into Dungeons and Dragons, but this time we are making the goddess Ares, a VTuber of epic mythological proportions. Now, we have already created two other mythological gods before this, Apollo and Zeus, but this time, instead of relying on her godly status, I want to give myself a challenge. I want to make this small gal do as much damage as possible, or mortally possible, without using any of her divine powers. Now, the rules and the challenge itself, I usually go for around level 30 in this D&D series, but the gods and goddesses have lately been like level 50. Okay, it's insane, so are there really any rules? Okay, how about level 40 today max? Then, the challenge is to do the craziest amount of damage in one hit without any criticals. Cause it just gets wacky with critical effects. Not only that, I'm gonna give her a theme based on what we know about her. She loves Elden Ring and certain characters within the game, so we'll build her in a way that's slightly based on her lore and some Elden Ring shenanigans. Knowing this, let's get started. Some of her sisters we gave the ability of lightning, the strength of size of a great giant, but Ares is a different story. Not only is she not a colossal giant, she is actually a halfling god of war. Every one of her followers knows she is almost as big as a cat, so it just makes sense that in-game, she is small-sized.
Cat is giant. She's actually small. If I put Milo on my lap, he takes up this entire chair. She's my smaller one. She's half the size of my other cat. I'm just tiny.
Good at hiding, great with moving stealthily, climbing, jumping, you name it. She's probably also 100% fearless. Halfling also gets a +1 to throwing weapons or range slings. The other racial bonuses is a +2 to dexterity, but a -2 to strength, which is quite a shame since strength is kinda determines output. But not to worry, her classes and feats will actually make up for this. I believe this gal is a barbarian. She only needs around 11 levels of barbarian in order to take a prestige class. That is super important to deal crazy, stupid amounts of damage. The barb gets damage reduction, rage, and several other abilities, while we take the prestige frenzied berserker to get the special powers called Supreme Cleave, Supreme Power Attack, and Greater Frenzy. Supreme Cleave is neat because every time you attack, you can make a 5-foot step, which is actually really good. Plus, Frenzy Berserker allows for an extra attack, so you can end up, moving around 25 feet per round. Now, on top of that, Cleave also allows an extra attack every time you kill an enemy, so it's pretty insane. Now, after all that, you would think we're done, but hell no. We got way more for her, because we're going to be giving her a bloodline option by spending 3 levels to gain a couple cool things like stats, abilities, spells, armor, spell resistance, feats, and damage reduction lawful. But the most important ability here is actually use oversized weapon, which will allow the halfling Ares to wield a weapon one size larger, from small to medium. The last part here, we need a Shadow Smith. This is going to be based on some, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree gameplay, giving her the dark and mysterious abilities, plus creating weapons and armor out of literal shadows, making these into physical objects. She will gain abilities to cover herself in shadow-like armor and attack from the shadows using Shadow Strike as a weapon enchantment. Some of the feats we need are Monkey Grip to once again increase the weapon size by 1. That would be from medium to large. Afterwards is Power Attack, Cleave, Destructive Rage, Intimidating Rage. These ones are needed to take a Prestige class Frenzy Berserker. The last feat Ares can take is Reckless Rage. This is pretty neat, while it increases strength by +2 and Constitution, but with a -2 AC. There are plenty other feats that would be super useful for Ares here, but these are the main ones that are important for creating the most powerful small goddess. I think her most likely weapon is going to be her love for the 18 inches. Wait, no. I mean, the legendary type of weapon Mesmer uses, the spear.
Oh, I just took all 18 inches.
She can make a spear out of literal shadows and can give it the Shadow Strike enchantment, plus, after its creation, it gains a +5 enchantment bonus, and this is due to her Shadowsmith class. But we can also have her just, straight up buy a spear with special enchantment called Flesh Grinder. This will represent the ability to impale, but what does it actually do? Let's read the description. The wielder may command the weapon to grind as a free action. At that time, the wielder lets go of the weapon and it continues, magically animated, to grind itself into the foe's flesh. Each round, it deals damage as if the character who had been wielding it had successfully hit it. The wielder need not concentrate or devote any time or action. The foe or someone else can attempt to rid themselves of the grinding weapon by making a strength check, DC 20. If the foe succeeds at the strength check and has a free hand, she is now holding the flesh grinding weapon. In any event, the flesh grinding weapon stops after 5 rounds. How much coin does a +5 spear of grinding enchantment cost? With the enchantment, it's equivalent to a +7 weapon, which will cost, around 980,000 gold. But overall, with all this taken into account, how big is the weapon? Ares is a small character, but with the oversized weapons from Titan Blood, Monkey Grip Feet, and to make it even bigger, have a spell cast on it permanently called Enlarged Weapon. This weapon now weighs over 24 pounds, and her favorite part is not only is it a big weapon, it is at least 18 feet long, as a huge sized weapon. Okay, but let's at least get a good look on a battle map how silly this might look. As you can see, as a huge sized weapon, it looks kind of like this. 4 spaces long, which ends up being around 20 feet. But on top of that, Ares is a small creature, and technically she fits in a smaller area than a 5-foot square. It kind of looks like this. So one could say that she does indeed like her weapons to be mesmerized. 18 inches, 18 feet, what's really the difference here? I've got to max out Ares' strength as much as possible. Starting at 18th strength, gains a +8 from levels, +10 from a bow's strength, extra 8 from rage, and she can activate Frenzy, which stacks with rage for another +10. That's a total of 52 strength, with a mod of +21. Now, her dexterity is 14, constitution is 14, intelligence is 12, 8 wisdom, and 8 charisma. The rest may seem low, but we're not worrying about those stats, we're only focused on strength. Now, onto the challenge. How much damage can Ares confidently do? Starting off with a huge spear is a 3d6, +5 enchantment bonus, 21 strength, and supreme power attack from the frenzied berserker. Normally, power attack allows you to, -5 to hit, you add 5 damage. But with two-handed weapons, you get 50% more damage. The interesting thing with supreme power attack, for every 1 point you spend, you get 4 extra damage instead. That's basically adding 20 extra damage. So after that, with the rolls, you're getting around 55 damage altogether. After figuring all that out, I believe we have made a pretty neat little god of war. Capable of wielding a spear that's around 20 feet long and has some ridiculous weight. And the great thing about this, we didn't even need to change her size at all. She indeed could be called the god of war, Ares the Impaler. If you thought Ares was a badass, make sure to like the video and subscribe. And if you want to see more VTubers into D&D, comment who you want to see next, and we'll see you guys in the next one.